one of the things that I really believe in is that you can have everything, but you can't always have everything right now. So you got to get clear on that, and then you got to prioritize and really break that down. What if you just started researching and seeing what's out there? And I was like, that's what I love doing, helping people not just to listen to that, but to really freaking go after that.
Take the time to remind yourself that it all starts inside yourself.
Wake up feeling stuck every day, then you gotta realize that it's all in your mindset. Read about the meditation, you go get around to it, you just haven't had the time yet. Yeah, I bet. Best thing that you could invest in is you. Could have the results or could have the excuse. Only one life, so take care of what you choose. And I ain't preaching, I'm just telling you the truth. Wake up.
Hello and welcome to Bombastik Broadcasting with Kat, Kim, and Sue.
As you know, here at Bombastik Broadcasting, we believe in shining the light on all things bombastic and illuminating the folks who are stoking the fire in their souls, one podcast at a time. So here we are today with Dalia Kemble, and your thing is City to Hippie.
So yeah, the name is actually Dalia Kemble on Instagram, so it's literally just my name. Yeah.
It's always nice to check because things are constantly evolving, right? In the 100%. Entrepreneurial world. So psychology and consulting professional is she, as well as holistic health coach, helping peeps find the peace and food and body without dieting, which is super intriguing.
Thank you.
Whereabouts are you located?
I am currently in Thailand, in the south of Thailand.
Oh, lovely.
Little island. Yeah, I moved out here last year. It's a great place.
That's gorgeous. Wow, that's amazing. So can you tell us a little bit about the name City to Hippie? I'm sure there's a story to go with it.
Wow. Yeah, this is actually this is bringing me back memories because this is actually like a past thing. I've transitioned so much since that place. So it's interesting to actually go back to that because that phase actually started like the hippie phase and the spiritual phase and all of that. That actually started a few years back when I was traveling. And then I actually felt that the core was more to kind of just transition back to who I am and to the core of that, and really just to kind of reground in who I am as well. And that's essentially where I'm kind of transitioning into, where I've essentially transitioned into now. And even though I still help with women with like living the healthy lifestyle and all of those kind of things as well, the thing that I'm actually really passionate on, what I'm essentially doing at the moment, is helping the Black sheep to have the courage to live a life without regrets and really live a life that lights them up.
Ooh, lovely.
Excellent.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah,
I actually figured out how to do that.
Well, I don't know about you, but I think so many people don't necessarily have the courage to live life on their own terms, or they're living how other people want them to live, and they're not really tapping into their light. And I'm also on a mission just to change how the world sees that, because I think there's a negative connotation to the Black sheep. And I actually think that when you're tapping into your uniqueness and you're sharing your light with the world and spreading that light, like literally what you guys are doing now, there's so much to be said for that, and there's so much to gain from that from the world. So that's essentially what I'm on a mission to go after.
That is definitely bombastic, because it does take courage to have that fire, and listen to that call and follow the right footsteps.
Something I've just noticed even recently, just by literally getting curious and speaking to people, is there's a lot of, I don't know if you guys feel it as well, but there's a lot of desire for deeper connection and real meaningful conversations and relationships, and not just that surface level. So I'm really on a mission to create that and create a sense of community around that as well.
Awesome.
We need it.
I love that.
Yes.
I have to say, Kat's always so good at that. She'll go to the mechanics shop and she'll suddenly be talking about the afterlife and our souls. And
life is too short for small talk, right? We could even get. I mean, even if you have to talk about the weather, we'll get deep into the weather. We'll go there. Be real or go home.
I love that.
So Dalia, you started off in England then with your work.
Wow. I was born and raised in England, and then I moved to Israel with my family when I was 14. So I was obviously living there for many years. Studied there. I done my master. I have a master's in psychology and organizational behavior and development. So that was all there. And then I started traveling, and I never looked back. And then now I'm ended up in Thailand.
Lovely. Oh, that's so fantastic. Where do you sort of start with people? What's your process, I guess?
It's a great question. So the first thing is actually helping people to gain clarity on what the heck it is they want. And I actually I actually believe that a lot of people do know what they want, and they have that little voice inside of them, but it's about really getting clear on that and listening to that, because you can be clear on what you want, but then someone from the outside can say something, or your own self-doubt will kick in, and then you think, oh, maybe that isn't what I want, and you start to doubt yourself. So really getting grounded in the clarity on what it is they want, and from that place really awakening, helping them to awake their confidence to go after it, and then obviously mastering the mindset around that, because there's naturally going to be things that are going to stop us and kick us in, and other people's opinions and all of these things as well. So that's essentially really what I start with. And then I believe that once people get to that place, it's like their energy is already elevated and they're going after what they want, and then they become like really unstoppable. I've literally had clients who are doing crazy things now, like skydiving instructors and things that were literally once that little voice and that little dream. So it's really cool to see that. I get so excited when people like go after their dreams and like living the life that they're meant to be living.
It's moments like this that I'm so glad we're audio and video, because you could just see how you light up. And the light is contagious, right? Like I instantly feel like I just got more vitamin D today. But do you find that starting with what do you want, isn't it not incredibly surprising at how few of us are asked that question to begin with? And then when you find yourself, coaching or asking that, how dumbfounded people can be, or what a journey that can be to even get to what you want. Because a lot of people don't take the time to think about that, or feel selfish if they think, what do I want? So how do you find that works out? Do you find that sometimes it's a journey to get people to what they want?
100% it's a journey, and it's honestly a beautiful journey, just seeing that, being able to experience and to see that transformation and where people start. And I think oftentimes the thing that really holds a lot of people back is the fear once they do realize what they want of, oh my God, like what do I now need to let go of, and how are other people going to see that, and how's that going to, like, there's also a lot of uncertainty. And I think when you're going after big things that most people don't go after, there is uncertainty of like, what if it doesn't work? And I think one of the things that I'm always passionate about helping people with is to be in the mindset of, what if it does work? Like, this is the best thing for you. What if the best things come out of this place? And like, when you're in that mindset, it's like, wow. And you start to see that and you go after that. It's like things work out better than you can ever imagine.
And who are your mentors? Who did you sort of learn from? Or, do you have any favorite people in this genre?
I'm honestly working with a few different coaches. I work with people according to the vibe. Like, I'm working with a coach now who's amazing. And one of the things that I love about her is just like how she builds things in the sense of really building real relationships and connections. I'll give her a little shout out. Her name is Tavona Denise, so you can check her out. But yeah, I really work with people based on their connection. I've worked with other people in the past too I love as well. And yeah, I'm also a very much big believer that even if I'm not like investing in someone and working with them like on that level, I still believe that whoever you meet, whoever comes into your life, there's always something to learn from someone. So I think that is a lot of like the wisdom I would say I've gained just from even traveling, connecting with people, meeting people at different events, different places. And I really do believe that even if someone isn't directly in your field, there's always what to learn from everyone who we come in contact with as well.
Because you might be sitting next to somebody on a train who, if you're not having a real conversation, you wouldn't even know like why, the synchronicity of why they might be sitting next to you.
Yeah, 100%.
I like that you brought up the fact that when we're trying to take one of these gigantic steps into the nothing ahead of us, there's a part of you that's worried about other people. And if too many people start going, what the hell are you doing? It gets harder and harder for you to keep traction, right? To keep going. And we all know that's silly and we shouldn't be listening to what other people, because it's all about our hearts and the people who can see our vision with us. We should be listening to those people. But how do you combat all the negative people around you?
It's a great question. And there's actually two things that come to mind. I think it's also about working on your mindset consistently and really focusing on the positive and the other side of things, and really grounding in not just what it is what you want, but why you want it. Because when you're clear on why you want it and what you're going after, it's like nothing's going to stop you, because that's the driving force. It's like bigger than you and what other people are saying as well. And I think the second thing is also just to be mindful around the people who you are surrounding yourself with in your life. And I always say it doesn't mean about completely disconnecting from people or letting go of the more negative people, but it's also intentionally surrounding yourself with people who are going after similar things that you want. And even social media, like what is it that you're consuming? What is it that you're listening to? Who is it that you're following? Like all of those things make a big difference as well. And actually just recently I've been following Mel Robbins. I don't know if you guys follow her, but I think she's great.
Yeah.
And one of the things that she speaks about is the let them theory, like just
Let them.
about let them. And I'm like, this is great. Like when you kind of let people think what they're going to think and all of these things, and you take back your power, because it's like you're not giving away your power to them and to their opinions. There's so much to grow from that place.
That is really awesome, for sure. And how do you help people discover their blocks? If you're trying to get somewhere and nothing's happening, how do you figure out what's my issue?
I think the first thing about anything to change anything is having awareness. So I think even just getting clear, and like there's obviously different ways to do that, whether it's journaling or having conversations, but just really asking the right questions, I would say. Like I think when you're in the right questions, even if you don't always, I always say, even if you don't have the answers, and if you're in the right questions, the answers will come. I personally find meditation a great tool as well. Like I actually last year I done like a 10-day Vipassana, which is like a 10-day silent meditation retreat, and it was just an amazing experience to be disconnected from the world for 10 days in silence and not speak and just like really get clear. And even in like, obviously I tell people you don't have to go and do a 10-day meditation retreat and take 10 days off of life in order to get clear on what you want. But I do think having intentional silence, even if it's 5 minutes, it doesn't matter about the time. It's more about the intention behind it and really connecting to that little inner voice inside of you. I think there's so much power, because it's not about anyone telling you what to do. I genuinely wholeheartedly believe that everyone has the answers within them. It's just about tapping into that and actually accessing them.
Yeah, that's the tricky part.
Yeah, we're with you. So, wow. So tell us more about this retreat. Was that in Thailand?
It was actually in Israel, but they have it all over the world. It's called Vipassana. Like it's a type of meditation, type of technique of meditation, but it's like it's basically silent meditation. So for 10 days, it was literally in complete silence and meditating for 10 to 12 hours a day, pretty much. It was crazy.
So I have to ask, did you talk with your face? Like, did you find like looking at each other, like, or like, did you just not? How does that work? Because 10 days, I mean, I'm so impressed. And I've always wanted to do like a day or 3 days or something like that. But 10 days, that's super impressive. So what do you do with yourself?
I'll be open and honest that the first few days were very uncomfortable, like physically, mentally, like you kind of start to go stir crazy. And it was interesting because I actually met someone on the way who we traveled there together, because it was in a different part of the country. And it's like, well, first of all, you're not supposed to make eye contact with anyone, which actually makes it easier, because then it's like you're not going to start talking with your eyes. But there were moments and I was like, what the heck am I doing here? And at the same time, I was like, I'm pushing through, because I know that when I immerse myself in things and there's discomfort around that, there's also so much growth on the other side of that.
So true.
So it was honestly so transformative, and it was just like, it was an incredible thing. And I just felt so calm afterwards of like, doesn't matter what's happening around me right now. Like nothing can bother my internal state, which is just such a cool place to get to. And I think that you can get to that place as well, even like not doing intense 10-day things, but just like even implementing that into your life on a regular basis. And that's like, just on a side note, that is things that I help people with all the time. Like how can they incorporate the small things into their routine that's going to really spiral into everything else? Because sometimes it's not about doing the crazy things, it's about on the day-to-day routines, like what are our habits, what are we doing, how we live in our life, what are we consuming? All of these things makes a big difference.
Yes, that makes sense. And how to put that into your consistency, because we all know consistency is so important, right? With anything that you're changing or doing. That I have to ask, what were your first words after you could speak?
It's a great question. I can't remember, but you know what? I have to share that the thing that I was genuinely most excited about from the whole thing wasn't even the silence, the meditation, the disconnecting. It was literally at the beginning that you had to give your phone in and be disconnected for that from 10 days. And I was like so freaking excited for that. And when I went back onto my phone, I was like, oh my God, this is so weird. But I was actually, and it was crazy because like the first 2 or 3 nights, I was literally having dreams about my phone that I was on it. And I was like, this is crazy how addicted all of us are to these little devices, and how much we forget to be in the real world and immerse ourselves. Like something I'm just conscious about right now is not just disconnecting by a certain hour. It's also just being outside more and being more in nature and having almost like digital detoxes from time to time. And that's how we often get the answers, when we're not solely like on our phones all the time, and we're actually connected to ourselves and to nature and to all of these things as well.
Wow. There was actually a time when that was the norm. when we didn't have
Right. Once
isn't it
upon a
hard to
time.
believe now? Once upon
Yeah.
a time, there were not
Really
like
is.
these things everywhere.
Right.
Oh my gosh!
Right.
Thank you for sharing
I have
that.
to say, no, I have to say, Sue and I did a 1 day mindfulness course, and the first 4 hours of it, we were doing that silent meditation thing, and that was really crazy and really hard and really weird. But even after 4 hours, it felt like amazing.
It felt amazing. Yes. Yes. You were kind of flying. So I can imagine after 10 days, you must have been soaring with the eagles.
Fantastic.
I wanted to ask, you said you wanted to get people more community orientated. So how are you going about doing that? Or are you doing retreats?
So I'm currently working more one-on-one with clients, and at the same time I'm working on building a sense of community around that and connecting people. I realized recently just how much I love to connect people as well. So what I'm essentially working to build is essentially I say starting with community, and I actually just see it as a movement moving forward in terms of really supporting people in living the life that lights them up and the life that they're meant to live. And I think a big part of why I love the community, why like the sense of that so much, is because I think when you, just going back to your question of like how I help people when there's negative things around, I think when you are surrounded by people who are going after the same things as you and normalize the crazy big things that you want, I think you get to where you want to get to so much quicker, because you're surrounded by who you surround yourself by with is everything. And I want to give people that opportunity to have that and to integrate that. So that is like what I'm on a mission to do and to go after, to make those connections, to create that community. So it really just helps to support people going after what it is they want in life.
Love that. Get fired up and fire us all up.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yes, do it. There was a quote that I saw when I was just looking at your Facebook a little while ago, and this was probably, your older stuff when you were doing with diet, but it applies to what you just said, and I wrote it down because I loved it. It was, when you run alone, you run fast. When you run together, you run far. Did you create that thought form?
I don't, full transparency, I cannot even remember, so I'm not going to take credit for it, just in case you said it.
But you illuminated it, which I love. Yeah, so everybody who says that, good job, and good job, Dalia.
100%.
Do you find that with the work that you're doing now, in your own journey, like you said, in this last year, it's making you think back to how many things, how many places your transformation has taken you now? So when you started, was it with the finding inner peace with food and body, and that's nice that it was without dieting, right? Because that's the holistic approach. So did you find that once you got in touch with that food and body connection, that then you were able to even go deeper? I guess what I'm asking is that a first step that people can take into even like getting to know themselves better and quiet themselves to even know what they want and why they want it? Do you recommend like a holistic food and body way of living as part of the transformation and to getting to where you want to be?
100%. I definitely, in anything that I'm doing, I definitely try to really focus on the holistic approach, because I think everything is very interconnected. Like, even if you're going after what you want, but you're dealing with stress or relationship issues or breakup or other things or whatever it is, everything is very interconnected. And the beliefs that we have about certain things also stop us from essentially getting to where we want to get to as well. So that's like, honestly, that's been a journey in itself. Like the whole finding balance, even like with the food side of things and the healthy lifestyle and those side of things as well. And it's definitely something I initially started because it was something I went through in my own struggles, and I wanted to support other people based on, I guess, a lot of my experience and where I went from there. And then as things started to evolve, it was just interesting how I was like just seeing how holistically I also wanted to help people more tap into not just the diet side of things and the food side of things and that side of things, but really like the big things that they actually want to go after in life. And I was just, again, reflecting back and seeing like the things that I've, done and overcome and how that's impacted me. And that I think we're always evolving, like just going back even to the city to hippie. As I'm looking back at that, it's just so interesting because I was traveling in India. I decided in a weekend to do a full head of multicolored dreadlocks and a tattoo and like all of these things. And that was like hippie phase.
Embracing the courage.
Yeah, but it's so interesting because then as you're evolving, something that that I've been seeing and I see all the time is that it's not about being, it's about essentially evolving and coming back to who it is you really are at your core. And I think when you tap into that and you're like, what is it that I want, and who do I even want to help, and how do I want to impact the world? Like, what impact do I want to leave there? And you have those answers, then things start to evolve. And it could be that you're in a completely different place. Like for me, it was starting more in the diet world, and even bringing the self-love aspect into it. Like I had something once I was working with, like that I coined like the self-love diet, because it was like around bringing the holistic approach into that. And then that started to evolve, and now it's really evolved into what I call the Pink Sheep Society. And the reason I called it the Pink Sheep Society is because I think, like I said, like the black sheep has a lot of negative connotation around it. And I'm on a mission to change that, because I think we have so much uniqueness to bring. And it's like, how are we going after that and tapping into our light and really sharing that and impacting that with the world as well?
So
That's
cool.
really cute.
What a
Analogy,
year.
that's perfect.
Yep. Pink Sheep Society. Fantastic.
Now, did you have an awakening time, or were you always on this path, like when you were a kid? Or were you always curious about this?
Yeah, it's a great question. Definitely in India was my awakening time. And it's, wow, like I literally say India and my eyes light up, like one of the best places I've been to. But it's so interesting because I always wanted to go, like, I think deep down you always know, and then you have this awakening. Like it could be, I don't know if you guys have experienced that as well. But it's so interesting because I always wanted to go to India for literally like for as long as I can remember, and I had no idea why. And the reason that I didn't go for so many years is because so many people around me were like, you can't go by yourself and it's dangerous and you can't be a solo female traveler and all of these things. And I listened to that because obviously like things start to impact you. And the truth is, it was only after I went there and I did end up going and I solo traveled and I had the courage to do it. And it was only after I went there and I started to question, I actually realized that, yes, obviously things happen. I'm not going to be naive, and things happen all over the world, just as they would everywhere. And you've got to keep your wits about you. But the thing that I realized most is that everyone that actually told me that it wasn't safe and all of these things had never even been there. And it was things that they heard from different documentaries or social media and all of these things. And again, things happen everywhere. But my point was, like, from that moment onwards, that really got me questioning, and like, whose opinions am I listening to? Who am I listening to? Because so many people in life, like, even if you question what it is you want right now, like, so many people will have an opinion. But I really try to be grounded in, if that person isn't doing or doesn't have what I want or hasn't done that thing, then why am I listening to them, you know? So
Right.
So true.
I'm taking advice from somebody who doesn't have what I want.
It's really hard to not to, but sometimes when you just like, what, like, whose opinion am I actually listening to, and whose opinions matter as well? I think things start to shift. And I actually can't remember what the original question was because I totally went into a tangent there.
No, that was great. That was great.
Yeah, that was great. Well, what specifically about India? Where did you travel and what did you do?
Wow. I traveled around a lot of places. I was there in total, I think, for 8 months, like on and off on different trips.
Oh, nice.
And there's still so many places that I haven't yet been to because it's a vast, incredible country. And it's interesting. Oh, going back to the spiritual awakening, I just had this thing that I always wanted to go there and I didn't know why. And literally the moment, I still remember this, the moment that the wheels of the plane hit the ground, I literally said out loud, I was like, I'm home. And it was the weirdest thing ever. And like, this is going to go deep, but I very much believe in like reincarnation and past lives and all of those things. And I just had this knowing when I was there, I was like, I've been here before. Like, I feel connected to this place on a soul level. It was crazy. And that's when I think the awakening started, and I started to listen to that voice within and like all of these things. So it will always hold a very special place in my heart, that country, that place.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Wow. What a great story.
I was not expecting you to say that. I'm so glad you did.
That's very cool.
That's amazing.
So cool. I'm sure all of the listeners probably have a place like that they're like, I have to go here. Like, mine is Italy. The girls can tell you that. And I just had a thought the other day. I'm like, you know what? One of these weekends, I should just go to Italy. Like, really, why not? There's all these like, why not? But so I love that you're giving people courage.
Already, Kath, you're halfway there.
See, thank you. I swear, the people from other countries, like our South African friends, and you know, everybody, Americans have this funny thing about traveling. You know, like, where our other
they do a little bit.
Our relatives make it so easy. Yeah. So courage. You're giving us all courage right now.
I'm understanding that you haven't been there yet. Yeah, right.
Can you believe it? I've been close. I've been to Austria when I was a kid, but haven't been.
I'm gonna challenge you right here. Like, you got to make this happen.
Please do. I I even said, if I die before I get to Italy, you take my ashes over there, because that's like part of where I want to be. That's so grim. But no, I accept that challenge. I do. Maybe I need like a year to do it, which sounds awful, but there are some things holding me here right now. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think getting in the way?
Well, I actually have family that I'm caring for right now, but you never know. But it sounds like you had an eat, pray, love moment. Did you?
Yes.
So did you? Was yours like different words, but kind of like that book?
I love that movie, but that was like literally what I was playing around with at the beginning when I started. I'm like, I kind of feel like I literally sometimes do feel like I help people to live their eat, pray, love life.
Lovely.
Pray, love,
That's
care.
perfect.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah, because you know what? I think the biggest thing, like, I genuinely think that one of the biggest lessons and things I actually took from India, like on a more serious note, is to remember that we're human beings and not human doings. And I think all the time we're always like, even if you speak to someone and they're traveling, it's like, what did you do today? Or what are you doing today? And it's like, sometimes I had days where I didn't necessarily do an attraction or an activity, but just that moment of being and connecting to yourself and staying grounded in that. And I think sometimes it's like we don't give ourselves even the time or the space to do that, because we always feel that we need to be doing something. And when you give yourself that time to be, wow, like that's when the insights start to come. That's when the answers really start to come as well.
That speaks heavy. It does. That's a great point. Did your silence help you get to that place too, do you think, where you can understand how to be instead of just doing? Because busyness is kind of an addiction in our society.
100%. And I think one of the things that I always focus on now is really just coming back to the balance around that, because it's so easy to, obviously when you're in a surrounding of, like, for example, a silent meditation retreat, it's easy to be in that silence. But then when you transition back in the real world, that's not just how the world works. So I think always just coming back to balance and seeing, like, what are the things that help you to find that calm within. And sometimes it's the smallest things. Like for me, it's literally disconnecting from my phone at a certain time and sleeping for a certain amount of hours or whatever it is, or starting the day like on a more calm note. It can be like really the small things, but I really do believe that the compound effect of that really spills into everything else as well.
Back to traveling for a second. I think my favorite way of traveling is like with no plans, because then you get to just follow the beautiful things that come your way. Because a lot of people have their agendas planned to every 5 minutes, and then you have no room for the universe popping in and handing you some treasure.
I think oftentimes as well, we try to control things that we don't have control over. So even Kim, when you were saying back about going like the travel plans and just how the best thing is like not having those plans, I think sometimes in our mind, it's like we try to plan everything so we feel that we have a sense of control, even though that control is an illusion anyway, because we don't, like, how many times do we plan and things never actually go to plan as we plan. I think things always work out as well. Like I still remember when I was traveling and I was in that mindset of, I still remember the first solo trip, I literally planned everything to a T, like every single hotel and place where I was staying and internal flights, and everything just went out the window because I was like, I didn't take into account that I was going to maybe travel and meet people and want to do different things. And I learned that very, very quickly. And then from there, when I traveled moving forward, I would literally like book the first night and then be like, okay, I'm gonna see where I go right now and see what happens.
So many adventures I'm sure you had.
Oh my gosh. And do you journal when you're on your adventures? Do you do blogs or anything like that? Do you try to capture the butterflies?
I try to find that balance between being in the moment and also capturing as well. I do try to, when I'm traveling, I do try to upload, like even on stories or on Instagram or whatever it is, just to kind of have those memories and be able to look back at those. And just even take a quick picture and just have that in my phone, just so I've like got the memories around that. And I do journal as well. Like I have so many journals from back in the day, the travel days, and it's so cool to sometimes just sit and read over that. It's like, wow, I forgot that happened.
I bet they're publishable, some of them, right? Like the old Jack Kerouacs. I love that stuff.
Well, yeah, one day is like, I'm definitely gonna write a book one day, because I feel like there's definitely a lot of stories.
I'm sure. I'm glad you wrote them all down, because my gosh, we forget things so fast. Even if you have 100 photos, sometimes you don't get all the things.
Yeah, 100%.
When you're making your schedule or you're doing, making your plans, make sure you leave room for the magic.
Nice.
Yeah,
I've had I love that, and I remember one of my best experiences was literally being so spontaneous that I literally I still remember one of my trips in India. I ended up deciding that I wanted that it was time to move on to the next destination. And I planned in my, I had a schedule of where I was going to. And then I remember going to this bus station, like really early in the morning, and asking someone like where the bus was to this place. And they were like, there is no buses, because apparently the roads were closed because the weather was so bad. And it was like in the mountains. And I just said to myself in that moment, I was like, I'm not going back to the comfort of the place where I was and where I started. I was like, we're going on an adventure. It's adventure time. And I literally in that moment, I said, okay, the first bus that comes on, I'm going to get on it and let's see where we go. And everything, like this whole adventure spiraled from that place. And it was just so cool to be in. It was like something I always wanted to do. And when you don't have plans and you just flow with the universe and, like you said, allow that magic to come, well, like things better than you can imagine.
It's kind of the magic of traveling alone too, because you don't have to weigh in with everybody necessarily. But I think you should challenge Kim and Sue to go to Italy with me. I'm just saying that on the next, because we would float so well, you know, like if you travel with the right people. But that being said, have you done most of your travels, all of your travels solo?
A lot of them, yes. I'm just going to go back to you guys for a second though, because I think there's so much power to putting things out in the universe and putting that energy out. So I love that you just said that, because it will start to happen.
Okay.
Tiramisu.
I love that. Yeah. I'm excited to now hear your updates afterwards of you guys. I feel like you're going to send me a selfie of like,
I can't wait. That sounds fantastic.
Love that.
Mission.
Yeah, I think a lot of my travels were solo, to be honest. I think after the first time I done it, I was like, oh, this is so much fun to be able to just be free and to do what it is I want to do. And don't get me wrong, there's obviously challenges that come with that. And at the same time, I think a lot of it, being on a lot of solo trips helped me to get out my comfort zone in so many ways, and just to, I guess, to show, like, to prove to myself what I can do and what is possible as well. And I also had so many trips where, to be honest, I was like, even though I started alone, I never felt like I was alone, because I connected to people on the way that just became such deep connections, and I ended up carrying on with them, or we continued like journeys together as well. So even though I always say, like, you're only alone if you actually choose to be alone, because you can start alone, but it doesn't mean that you're going to continue alone or not build those connections. And I think when you do have the courage to do things alone, you actually open up to connections that you might not if you're with other people, because you're more in that comfort of like, I've already connected with people, like I don't necessarily need to create new connections there.
But from our real conversation, I feel like I can see how you work with your clients maybe as well. And you're encouraging to like listen to that little voice, whether it says go to Italy or go to India or wherever that is, or whatever that little voice is telling you. So you're kind of helping people really get in touch with their purpose.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yes. I think purpose and desires, because I think they come hand in hand, and at the same time it could be different. Like you could have a purpose, like for example, in a business that you're building, and you can also have desires to do other things, like you have to travel to Italy, right? And it could be that your purpose lies there as well, and like that starts to evolve as well. Who knows? Things are very interconnected. But I'll give you an example. One of the clients that I worked with, she had like a lot of outside noise, and she didn't necessarily know what she wanted. And when we started to get clear on that, one of the things that I really believe in is that you can have everything, but you can't always have everything right now. So you got to get clear on that, and then you got to prioritize and really break that down. So when we started to get clear on like what it is that she wanted, there was a load of different things that she wanted, but it was like when we started to prioritize that, one of the things that came up is that she wanted a skydive, and she wanted to start doing that. So the first step was like literally getting clear on that, and then it was like, what if you just started researching and seeing what's out there and starting to do that? Fast forward to today, she's a skydiving instructor, and she's done like over 50 jumps, and she's like freaking crushing it. But and like that was literally a little voice that was like coming out, and I was like, that's what I love doing, helping people not just to listen to that, but to really freaking go after that.
Yeah. That makes me think like you have to start somewhere, right? When you start to figure out like if you are one of those people that want everything and you almost can't focus on where to start, right? I guess just helping them start checking off the desires on your list and see where they take you, right? And like Stu likes to say, until it's not fun anymore. And then do something else. It's our business plan.
Yes, it is.
You've got to go after what lights you up, and I think it's also okay to be okay with the fact that that evolves and changes all the time. And just on a side note, I think a lot of the time we think we want certain things, and then we get that thing, and it's like we didn't feel how we thought it would make us feel, and then it's like, wait, but we done all of this work to get to a certain place, and then what? So I think when you're actually tapped into like what is not even just what lights me up, but like what is aligned, like what is the right thing right now, like wow, then when you follow that, a lot can change.
I love it.
Okay.
I have to say that first part, spoken like a true college graduate. How many people out there have gone to college and you went for 4 years to study this thing, and then at the end you're like, what?
All right.
What
Yeah,
did
no.
I
Wait,
do?
where am I being now?
I actually done like I had done straight 5 years. I done like 3 years psychology and then like 2 years masters as well. And then I took a little trip, like a 4-month trip, and that was supposed to be like a trip before going into the real world and climbing the corporate ladder. And that never happened. I went on the trip and never came back.
That's a great thing.
That's awesome.
I definitely am extremely grateful for the education that I did have. And I still use a lot of those things in the work I do today. Like a lot of it is very psychology based, and the organizational behavior side that I done like very much helps me in what I do today as well. So I'm very grateful for that. But I guess the point is like, even if you do study, it doesn't mean that you have to go down the traditional route that everyone else is doing. There's still unconventional ways, I would say, to use what you do and to do it in a way that's aligned with, you know, the things that you want in life and what feels right for you and how you can best help people as well.
It's so true. But I love what you say, and I absolutely believe it. I was kind of teasing with the college graduate thing, because anything you learn, whether it's in life or school or a book or your travels, nothing is ever wasted. I have no regrets on any of my paths now that I can see where they took me, right? And hopefully where they're going to take me still.
No regrets. Well, there was this one girl that had no regrets tattooed on her back, but it was no RAGRETS.
Now that's bold.
So maybe she had some regrets.
That's awesome.
Maybe a few regrets.
Love that. But no, it was just building off of your conversation around like the not wasting. And it was interesting because I literally have had a conversation yesterday with a client, and she was just sharing with me how like how things have started to really ground in the mindset of like how it took time to really be in, like to hear. I think I always say there's a gap between hearing something and making sense on a logical level and really integrating and internalizing that. And she was like, I have this little voice in my mind that like the last few months have been a waste of time because I didn't understand this and I just wasted time. But she was like, no, I was just kind of coaching her around, there is no wasting time. Like you have to go through certain things and everything leads you to where you're going to get to. And when you're in the mindset that there is no wasting time, there's only learning lessons and knowing that everything that you're going through is just helping to support you to get closer to where you're meant to get to. When you're on the aligned right path, there is no wasting time there as well.
Oof.
Yeah, that's kind of a huge thing to get your head around.
Well, and to that point, and I guess it's what you're talking about with finding balance, because you have to be really weird and diligent about how you set your timeline, you know, your goals, your SMART goals, your accomplishments, but then you also have to be present in the moment and see what, you know, is right about the situation that you're in and not miss any of those moments, right? So how do you find the balance between pursuing your goals and enjoying being where you are?
I think it's a prime question. I think one of the things is to set realistic timelines and clear timelines. And at the same time, knowing that if you didn't get to that place, it's like, are you going to still carry on because you didn't reach necessarily where you said at the exact timeline? That you can always learn from that and continue going. It's like, I used to say to people all the time, like when you're on a weight loss journey, like even if you said by April, I want to lose 10 pounds. If you lose 8 pounds and you don't get to the 10, is that like, I didn't reach my goal? Or is it like, I'm still going to continue going and I have a timeline, but it's still like, what am I going to continue doing in order to get to and surpass where I want to get to? But I think going back to the balance, I think it's important to recognize that, especially when you are building a business, it's a reflection of you. So if you are burnt out and not balanced in your life and not enjoying life, like that's going to spill into the business. And when I'm talking about the holistic approach, I really believe that everything is interconnected. So yes, there's a difference between taking days off and not doing anything for the business, because obviously that's not going to grow either. But I do think having the intentional time and having the balance to pour into you and come from that full cup so that you can actually pour back into everything else. And I would say the biggest thing in terms of balance, for me anyway, is really having carved out time and intentional time for things. Because I say you can want things and I actually heard a quote the other day, and it was that your future self is built from today's actions, not today's ideas. And I was like, that's powerful.
That's a big one.
So yeah, but the reason I'm sharing that is because if you want to take action today, you got to actually carve time out. I say this to clients all the time. Like, if we're speaking about something and they get clear on the action, it's like, my next question is like, oh, when is it happening? Like, when are we carving time out to do that? Because otherwise it's just going to stay an idea or on the long list of things that you want to get done. And if it's not carved out and intentional, it's not going to happen. So going back to the business and the balance there, it's like, if you want to get things done, if you want to move things forward, carve out time to do it just as you would anything else. And then carve out free time to do the things that bring you joy as well. And they can also be interconnected. But I think carving out time in the schedule and getting clear on that and prioritizing is definitely a big thing as well.
And
Not
I love
cleaning
that.
out the fridge first.
Yes. Stop cleaning the fridge. There's no
I
time.
can't do that until the fridge is clean.
There's no
Yeah.
wasted time, Sue.
Cleaning out the fridge, Kat. That is the only wasted time.
I
Yeah.
like that, and it makes sense with what you're saying, like with the intentional meditation, the intentional listening to yourself, intentional eating, even intentional actions. Because sometimes I show up, to my business, but I don't really have an intention. I'm like, just go and sit in your office and see what happens. But I guess that's what's part of the intentionalness.
And I think setting clear outcomes as well is really powerful. Like, even for example, one of the things that I love doing anyway is like connecting with people and just networking and even having conversations. So it's like, am I just doing it to tick off the box, or am I doing it to create connections? So if I'm setting the goal, like every time I'm doing it, I am intending to create at least 2 different connections from that, then it's like there's a clear goal towards that. And even if you don't hit that, it's like you've still got something to work towards and you're clear about that. So I think definitely, like, I'm very big on being intentional. And I also work with a lot of clients who are busy mums and have like 5 kids at home and are working full time. So it's like they don't even have the time to do all of the things. But it's like you can gain a lot out of an intentional 5 minutes of just even sitting down with a cup of tea or doing a meditation for 5 minutes versus having a whole day at a spa and your mind is elsewhere and not present anyway. So I'm like, intentional time is really everything.
Oh,
Ooh,
that's
I like
perfect.
that.
Because Kath has a fashion house. So I was thinking, even if you're just sitting in your office, Kath, you're probably going, there's something about that outfit that's just, I can't figure it out. And then, tonight at 3 a.m., you're going to go, oh, it needs a purple scarf.
You're right. You're so right. But it's true. Even if it turns into like just sitting, I guess that could be a form of the meditation and getting clear on the thoughts.
Right?
You're so wise. See, this is the power of the community, right?
Of your goals, that sounds wonderful. And what town are you in?
I'm actually like living on a little island, which you actually get a boat to get to. But the mainland is like in the south of Thailand, so it's like an hour from Bangkok, which is like the capital. So yeah, it's a beautiful place.
How many people live on your little island? Is it just you?
Nah,
That'd be awesome.
it's not even that little anymore. I mean, it's not for me anyway. I feel like it's brewing a lot, but it's just a very beautiful, laid back, slow paced life, which is definitely, I appreciate.
So wonderful.
That's great.
Yes. Do you go to the beach every day?
I try to go and see. I don't obviously sit on the beach. Like, again, just going back to the balance, weekends are definitely, or like Saturdays are time to like just, for me, chill day, to be at the pool, be at the beach, and just to have that time. But in the week I do have work. I do want to do the things that are going to move life forward as well. So having that balance, but I do try it most days to even have a break in between work and like evening time as well, and just go and see sunset and just have a walk along the beach, even if it's for half an hour, just to appreciate what's around. I'm like, this place is incredible. Like, I know that in itself, like taking that intentional time out is just going to help me to then re-energize and pour back into the things I'm doing after that as well. So I think taking those breaks is really powerful.
Yes, huge. Here at Bombastik Broadcasting, we like to say that a rising tide lifts all boats. So what can we do to lift your boat, Dalia?
I love that. You know what? I'm just gonna add some, I guess, some humor to the conversation as well. I actually get super seasick, and I live on a place where you have to get a boat.
I'm sorry, I had a nerve.
Tablets.
I want to write that down and take that. I think I think really just sharing the word and bringing connection. And I love even the fact connecting with you guys. I feel like I love these conversations. I want to have these conversations. I want to help people on the level and just I want to help expose people into the world that they can be around people who don't think they're stir crazy for going after big things in life.
Yes.
Beautiful. Yeah.
You're welcome to follow me on socials as well.
Yeah.
And what's your last name, Dalia, so our listeners can find you?
Kemble, Kmble. Dalia Kemble.
Kmble. Okay, and that's your name on Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
We just have so much fun together, but exactly your message and what you're saying is really speaks to all of our hearts because it's wonderful.
It's super awesome. Well done,
Yes.
Dalia.
Yeah.
Yes. We need more people like you in the world, for sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Good job following those nudges.
I follow where
Right.
feels right, and that could obviously always shift, but right now I'm happy, I'm settled, so yeah.
Till it's not fun anymore. Does your family come out from England and visit you, or are they in Israel?
Yeah, my parents are in Israel, and my sister and her family are in Israel as well. And my brother's in England, and the rest of the family in England. But they actually just came out a couple of weeks ago for the first time to visit, my parents and my auntie and uncle. So that was so fun.
Oh, that's
Oh,
great.
how lovely. Oh my gosh. Are they in love with it?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything not to love.
I haven't been there, but I have only heard good things.
Yeah.
Italy.
So until we see you next time, be courageous, be the pink sheep, and be present in your wants and your whys.
Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. So much more in this world that you can do. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining. You keep grinding. Wake up. All is aligning. All you gotta do. Wake up. My man Mo said that the reason that the world fucked up is cause everybody lazy. Positivity is corny to them, but they still gon' complain about the bad going on. Shit crazy. So I just had to drop a little project. I don't know what the object is, but this feels good. If you too hood for the good vibe, sorry I ain't got nothing for you. Why should I?
You shouldn't. We out here doing the things that y'all wouldn't. Life could be a sweet ride, proof is in the pudding. These guys with the weak vibes, I'll show them where to put it. Down bad, I was looking for the answer. Mind all mad, taking over like a cancer. Canceled the sub plans, came from up above. Told me everything but doing, showing love, and I gotta
wake up. So much more in this world that you can do. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining. You keep grinding. Wake up. All is aligning. All you gotta do. Wake up.
I've been getting so high, head up in the clouds. I don't ever wanna come down, but I gotta
wake up.
Ain't enough time to be down. Bust a smile, cause it's yet another day that I'm allowed to
wake up.
Feeling blessed to be alive, man. Not long till we thriving. Take the time to remind yourself that it all starts inside yourself. Most.
Wake up feeling stuck every day, then you gotta realize that it's all in your mindset. Read about that meditation, you go get around to it, you just haven't had the time yet. Yeah, I bet. Best thing that you could invest in is you. Could have the results or could have the excuse. Only one life, so take care of what you choose. And I ain't preaching, I'm just telling you the truth. Wake up, so much more in this world that you can do. Wake up, every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up, you keep shining, you keep